Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another morning webinar for Outdoor Adventure Marketing. Today we're doing it on a Monday because we have a quarterly planning session tomorrow and we're out of the office, but we also wanted to change up the time to see if it worked better for other people. So today we are going to talk about geographic targeting pitfalls for adventure companies. Geographic targeting seems pretty basic at a basic level when it comes to paid media advertising, but it is actually not that basic. So we're going to talk about a few things to make sure that you do not get burned when you're doing geographic targeting. As I said, we are Outdoor Adventure Marketing. We do lead generation for outdoor adventure companies. We're a digital agency that started in 2009. We're located in Tempe, and we have just over 10 full-time staff here right now. We drive prospects to your event or tour business, and we have a proven method for tour-related lead generation. My name is Adam Markfeld. I'm the founder. I'm a father, a cold brew enthusiast, and a business owner and digital marketer. So there's just a little bit about me, and of course, the picture of my daughter. All right, so let's jump into it. The conversation today is going to be just about 20 minutes. We keep these short for you so that you can get in and out with some good actionable information. So today we're talking about geographic targeting, and the main aspect of this is that adventure companies are geographically sensitive. One location for your company, if you have multiple, services basically one geographic region. So if you're in a small town, a big town, or even an island, in the case of Hawaii, customers are generally only coming to your location and you're only serving a certain area, and they're oftentimes coming from outside of the area. So we talk about ATV tours a lot as examples for our presentation. So this screenshot here is ATV tours in the Phoenix area. So I just did a 35-mile radius just so you can get an idea of what a geographic targeting range might look like if you're doing ATV tours in the Phoenix area. All right, so the real question is your geographic targeting correct? Are ads appearing in the correct geographic searches, or are you potentially wasting money? If your ads are not appearing in the correct searches, not only are you paying for clicks that are completely irrelevant to your business, but you're annoying customers, the customer experience isn't very good, you're showing in regions that don't necessarily make sense, and you could definitely improve your geographic targeting so that you're not wasting money and people aren't going to your website that are not even looking for services in the area that you're offering. So today we're going to talk about AdWords, fairly extensively, and then also touch on Facebook. But AdWords is probably the biggest culprit of bad geographic targeting. All right, so let's go back to our example of ATV tours in the Phoenix area. So we're going to pretend that people want to do an ATV tour in Phoenix, and we're just going to set a 35-mile radius around the center of Phoenix. Phoenix is somewhat circular, so this radius basically covers the entire valley where you might be searching or staying or wanting to do an ATV tour. So on the surface, this looks like a great idea and no issues, right? So when you're doing your settings in AdWords, there are actually 3 options for geographic targeting. And the default AdWords settings are not necessarily on your side. This is a setting that is under the Settings tab at the campaign level and is defaulted to the first option, which is people in searching for or who show interest in my targeted location. So AdWords automatically sets this. Unless you go out there and proactively change it, this is exactly the setting that's going to be applied to your campaign. And this means that if you choose 35 miles around Phoenix, it's people that are in that 35-mile radius, people that are searching for that 35-mile radius for Phoenix, the Phoenix metro area, or who show an interest in your targeted location, which can oftentimes be based on other searches. If they're searching for hotels in the area or something like that, it might start showing them ATV tours in the area. So this is basically, is there that geographic region, or are people actually sitting and residing in that geographic location? So the question is, what is the issue with that default setting? Let's use an example. If we're doing ATV tours and we are sitting in Phoenix and we are in the Tempe, Scottsdale area, which we are right now, and I type in ATV tours, that means that I am in the geographic region of Phoenix, which is the targeting. But if I type in ATV Tours Denver, then it's actually going to trigger Phoenix ads because I'm physically in that location. So I can type in ATV Tours Hawaii, ATV Tours San Diego, ATV Tours basically any region outside of Phoenix. And depending on how your keywords are set up, if your keyword is ATV Tours, that means that your ad is going to show for someone that's looking for tours outside of your geographic region. So when you look at this screenshot, I searched ATV Rentals Denver, and 2 results showed up that have 480 area codes, which means that they're located in Phoenix. So these are the top 2 results. And if I were to click on either one of these, not really realizing where they are, the first one up top does not actually say Arizona. It does say Gilbert and Florence, but if you're not that familiar with the region, that might not mean anything to you. So I can very well click that ad, go to the page, see it's not in Arizona, hit the back button, and then go down to the next one, or just keep going down the list. So this is the perfect example of what happens when the geographic targeting is set wrong and someone is in that location searching for a company outside of the location. So what can we do about that? Basically, you want to choose keywords that are geographically relevant to your service. So only show ads to people that are searching for ATV tours in a certain area. So in this case, we're just going to say Grand Canyon. So this gets a little bit in the weeds on AdWords, on the AdWords interface, but we do 3 types of matching. We do exact match, modified broad, and phrase match. And those are the 3 samples that you see right there. But basically this means that ATV tours and Grand Canyon have to be in the search phrase that someone is looking for in order for your ads to show up. So if I swing back to the previous slide, ATV Tours does not have the geographic region associated with it. Because that geographic region isn't there, then people that are searching for that service in another area are going to be seeing your ad. So one way to mitigate that risk is to do Grand Canyon in these keywords so that people are searching for the region, get the ads. As a little bit of a pro tip, I'm showing 3 match types here, phrase, modified broad, and exact. There is another match type that a lot of people use that is extremely dangerous to your account, and that's just a standard broad match. Down here at the bottom you can see ATV Tours Grand Canyon with no syntax around it, no quotes, no brackets, nothing. That is a very, very dangerous way to put in keywords, and I would definitely not recommend it. What happens is that people could type in all sorts of things, ATV repair shop in Flagstaff, and it might trigger this ad. So it gets very, very fuzzy in terms of what matches. So if you're a new user or not fairly well versed in the keywords, I would never do it this way and always consider some of these other match types. So that's the first thing. You want to actually put the region in your keywords so that when people are searching for a particular area, they get the results in that area and it's not some other area like in the case we were showing, which was Denver. The second thing you can do, which is kind of phase 2 and slightly more advanced, is you can create a second campaign in your account and you can refine the searches to people in your region. So what you would do is you would create a second campaign, and in the geographic settings you would target people in my location. So only people that are physically sitting in our case, the Phoenix area. And then instead of using keywords like ATV Tours Phoenix or ATV Tours Scottsdale, you would just say ATV Tours. So this means with these brackets that someone needs to type in that exact search phrase in order for your ad to show. So when you look at the scenario, it's people that are in my location that are searching for this exact phrase. Those people would be a match. They're people that are not searching for a particular area. They're just saying, hey, I want an ATV tour, and they're just implying that they want it in the location that they're sitting. So if they type in ATV Tours Denver, because it's not the exact search, your ad will not show. They have intent to find an ATV tour in Denver, but this exact match right here means that they're just looking for an ATV tour locally. So this is a little bit more of a nuanced, pseudo-advanced approach to, refining your targeting, but it is a really good way to grab people in your market that are just kind of using general search terms without burning a bunch of your budget, which can happen very easily if you're not doing it that way. All right, so those are the two tactics that are really, really important in AdWords to save you money. The first one is most important, making sure that people searching for a business like yours outside of your geographic region are not triggering your ad, because that is just completely wasted money. Now let's talk about Facebook for a minute. Facebook geographic targeting is quite a bit more difficult when it comes to finding people that are interested in your services in the Facebook platform. Facebook gives you 4 different options. They allow you to target everyone in the location, which just means anyone that's there at any given moment in time. People who live in the location, so that's done through your profile settings. If someone says that they live in Phoenix, Arizona, then they will trigger this, this match setting. People recently in the location, that means was someone there recently. And then that gets refined even further to people traveling in this location, which is when someone is in the location, but their home address based on their profile is over 125 miles away. So in the case of Phoenix, if I'm in Phoenix, but I live in Peoria, I would not be targeted by the people traveling in this location because my home address is not more than 125 miles away. However, if I'm actually from Los Angeles and I'm in Phoenix, that distance is over 125 miles, so I would then trigger the people traveling in this location. So this is really interesting. This is probably the one setting that makes a little bit of sense for outdoor adventure companies. So as I said, people traveling in this location is probably the one that makes sense. However, when people are traveling into a certain city, you actually don't know if they're interested in your services, and it gets extremely difficult and is a bit of a shotgun approach to actually try and find people that do want to do an ATV tour when they're traveling to Phoenix at a given moment in time. Normally those types of activities are kind of planned ahead. People are interested in doing something outside. They're doing a little bit of research before they get out there. They want to make a reservation. So with Facebook, when you're running this type of targeting, you just don't know that they're going to want to do ATV tours. So you could potentially spend a lot of money without actually generating a lead because you don't know that people want to do it. Now there are a few subtle exceptions, which is, for example, if there's a new local venue in the area that, in our case is adventurous, that might be a good way to drive awareness and bring people to the venue and get people there to give it a shot if it's something really interesting or different. So we have Topgolf here. There's a new venue that opened just called iFly, which is an indoor skydiving sort of deal. So initially, people in the region, in the area, aren't familiar with those businesses. You can drive a lot of traffic locally, so people coming in, it may not really be necessarily the attraction that they're doing because they're traveling, but locally you can get a lot of exposure. But as time continues, the quote-unquote excitement for that will fade a little bit as people become familiar with it, and then your marketing on Facebook will probably want to change to, instead of brand awareness, it'll probably shift more to like deals or things that are happening or events or something that's more, reminders and prompting people to get to the event space. So that is kind of the one exception to people traveling to the location, is if there's a really unique venue opening that people locally might be very interested in. In that case, you would just be targeting the local demographics. So with Facebook, if it's difficult to target people, then what do we do? In a previous webinar, we had talked about retargeting with Facebook, and that's really our recommended approach when using Facebook, especially if you're just getting started and you're not one of those kind of local area exceptions that I was just talking about. So when you're running ads, if you're running AdWords or getting traffic to your website through PR, word of mouth, whatever the case may be, you can tag all of those visitors with a Facebook pixel and then retarget them within the Facebook platform, which is a really strong way to continue brand awareness. We recently launched a campaign that does ATV tours, and we did retargeting, and out of, I think, approximately 10 clicks, 2 of those had actually converted to leads for parties of 4, 5, 6 or more. So that's a very, very, that's unusually high conversion rates, but it just goes to show that those people visited the website, and then they went to Facebook, and then they saw the ads again, and they clicked on them, and then they converted. So that's really strong. The one thing that you will want to do is retarget all of your prospects. By default, Facebook adds this United States geographic boundary. But depending on where you are, you may want to make sure that people all around the world can be retargeted. So if Canadians are potentially searching for activities, you don't want them to be restricted. If you're in Hawaii, you're going to get visitors from all over the world to go there. So you want to make sure that you're not restricting by the United States. You want to just remove that. You just want to say everyone that's visiting my website or landing page or any of my assets, I want them to see my ads because they have clearly shown an interest in my services, and I want to make sure that they're being retargeted. So make sure you remove that geographic restriction of the United States. All right, that's more or less the wrap-up. The takeaway is, erroneous geographic targeting can really burn a lot of money if you're not careful about it, particularly in AdWords. So think twice when you're doing geographic targeting. You want to refine your AdWords targeting and be aware of the default AdWords settings. The geographic AdWords settings can be very deadly if they're not set up correctly and you're not basically mitigating the risk of people looking for your services in other markets. You want to make your keywords location specific. So in our case, it's ATV Tours Phoenix, not just ATV Tours. You want to make them very regionally specific. And then when it comes to Facebook, Facebook is not a recommended approach for doing outdoor adventure marketing. It's extremely difficult because of the type of consumer that's traveling, the planning, the cost, that whole deal. So really we focus on retargeting, and then we use, and then you want to make sure that you're unrestricting that targeting so that's not just the United States. That summarizes the presentation for today. Again, we are the company's Outdoor Adventure Marketing. We specialize in lead generation for outdoor adventure companies, and we work with companies like ATV tours, jet ski companies, snorkeling, ziplining, skydiving, snowmobiling, basically anything outdoors and adventure related is our biggest focus. But we also do things like indoor skydiving, things like that might be just a little bit unique, but maybe not outdoors. And our next webinar is going to be the 5 expert strategies to leverage call tracking. Call tracking is used extremely extensively in our online marketing efforts, and so we're going to talk about how you can use that to increase conversions, see which keywords are converting, customer service, basically track how many people are converting. All sorts of strategies associated with call tracking are really powerful, and so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the 5 best strategies that you can use in your call tracking program. So now we have a couple minutes for questions, and we've already received a few here on the side. So I wanted to just address a few of these. If you have any other ones, please go ahead and throw them in the chat, but we received a few offline, and one of them is, if I chose a radius, do I have to exclude the rest of the state, or does it do that automatically? If you choose a radius, you do not have to exclude the rest of the state. It does it automatically. However, the settings that we were just talking about do not necessarily exclude if people are searching for things out of state, if your keywords aren't set up correctly. So when you choose a radius, it will just include that. You don't have to exclude everything else. And you actually want to be careful about excluding certain areas, because in the exclusion settings, which are similar to the targeting settings, the exclusion settings will exclude people in the areas that you're excluding. So when that's the case, if someone is sitting in, let's say, Denver, and they're searching for ATV tours in Phoenix, and you're excluding Denver because you want to be careful on your targeting, that person won't actually see your ads because you're excluding people that are sitting in that geographic region, and that is extremely challenging. The other question was, how do you select geographic bounds that aren't circular? Because I just showed that one example probably. You can select geographic area. The options are really quite limitless, especially when it comes to AdWords. You can do counties, you can do zip codes, you can do regions, you can do DMAs, all sorts of things, and you can combine them and exclude them and basically segment them any way you want. So those are pretty impressive. Facebook has less options when it comes to geographic targeting. However, you can still do quite a bit of geographic targeting in Facebook. It's not as refined yet. They have been, I guess, in the last 6 or 9 months adding a few features, but really their geographic targeting is a little bit limited. It's more about targeting people where they live and what they're doing at any given moment in time. So traveling or visiting a place or something along those lines. So if we don't have any other questions, then I will wrap it up. And again, thanks for joining us. And we will plan to, we are going to be skipping next week because it's the 4th of July. However, our next one, the 5 expert call rail techniques, are going to be run the Tuesday after that. And we'll obviously be sending out an invitation. Thanks a lot. And please get in touch and let us know if you have any questions.